My name is Eliza. I wasn't supposed to be there. That's what they told me at least. Dressed in a simple navy blue dress and heels I'd owned since grad school. I didn't look like much. Certainly not like someone who belonged in the executive lounge of the most powerful firm in the city. I was nobody, a name on a desk plaque in the far back corner of the analytics department, a background blur in meetings, the girl who always had to ask for a seat at the table and was told there wasn't room. But that night, everything changed. That night, I wasn't the girl in the back anymore. I was the one holding the entire building in the palm of her hand. It all began 6 years ago, when I first walked into Everon Capital, full of hope, carrying a resume that no one bothered to read past the third line. I'd graduated top of my class, interned with 2 high-profile firms, solved case studies that now sat in textbooks. And yet, when I arrived, they saw only what they wanted to see, another quiet analyst with too much ambition and not enough pedigree. I didn't come from money. I didn't have a father on the board. My last name didn't unlock doors. So I learned to open them myself, quietly, strategically, with a smile that said, "Sure, I'll take the notes." Even as I was rewriting the entire strategy from the back of the room, the irony was that the people who dismissed me the most were the ones who ended up relying on my work the most. I became their secret weapon. They just didn't know it. I built models that saved them millions, redesigned portfolios, flagged acquisitions that would have tanked the company. And yet, when it came time for credit, someone else's name always ended up on the deck. I let them, for a while, because I wasn't just playing the game. I was learning every single rule they lived by, and planning how to break all of them. Then came the restructure. Rumors flew, quiet at first, then louder. Senior leadership was reviewing strategy. That's when the true players began to move. People who never spoke to me suddenly needed favors, needed data, and one in particular needed everything. Preston Langley, the man everyone in the company bowed to. Our chief strategy officer, arrogant, calculated, always 2 steps ahead. He didn't remember my name, even though we'd worked on the same project 3 times. I was just the girl from analytics to him, but now he needed help navigating a merger that could either crown him the next CEO or end his career. And so, one day he stopped by my desk, not to ask, to command. "I need the risk profile on Renlo Corp. By tonight," he said, not even bothering to look up from his phone. "And clean up their valuation. Your numbers last time were off." They weren't, but I smiled, nodded, and gave him what he asked for. Except this time I added a little extra, a second set of projections, one that detailed precisely how Renlo had cooked their books. Hidden liabilities, fraud, the kind that tanks not just mergers, but entire reputations. I labeled it version B and sent it quietly to someone else, someone I knew would pay attention. Maya Tillman, lead counsel, smart, serious, and, unlike most of the suits upstairs, actually ethical. She reviewed it, then scheduled a meeting with the board. And suddenly, Preston Langley wasn't getting promoted anymore. He was resigning, quietly, under health concerns. I didn't gloat. I didn't say a word. But the next day, the chairman of the board sent me an email. Short, direct. "We need to talk." That meeting changed everything. They offered me a promotion. I turned it down. I told them I didn't want a title. I wanted authority. I'd been doing their work in the shadows long enough. If they wanted me to stay, I wasn't coming in as director or VP. I wanted the seat, the real one, the one that came with power, decisions, and the keys to the company. I expected a laugh. Instead, I got silence. Then the chairman leaned back and said, "Meet us tonight." It wasn't a dinner. It was a vote. The boardroom was tense. The old guard leaned in close, whispering, calculating. They saw me as a risk, but they also knew what I could do. And right now, they needed someone who wasn't compromised. Someone with clean hands, a sharp mind, and no loyalty to the broken hierarchy. It took them 3 hours. At the end of it, I walked out with the offer letter in my hand. Effective immediately, CEO of Everon Capital. I didn't go home. I sat in my car, parked in the garage, staring at the dashboard, letting it sink in. Everything they said I couldn't do, I just did. And they had no idea. So the next morning, I came in early, quietly. No grand announcement, no press release. That would come later. For now, I wanted to see who still treated me like I didn't belong, who still saw me as the girl from analytics. And I didn't have to wait long. Around 9:15 a.m., I walked up to the executive floor, past the gold-trimmed doors, past the polished marble, toward the lounge where all the so-called decision-makers sipped their overpriced coffee and laughed about their weekends in the Hamptons. I reached for the handle. That's when she stopped me. Brenda, executive assistant to one of the VPs, the gatekeeper of all things petty. She gave me a tight smile. I'm sorry, this room is for VIPs only. I looked at her, remembering every time she dismissed me. Every calendar meeting she accidentally left me off. Every sideways glance when I asked for a room with a projector. Oh, I said softly. She folded her arms. It's just that this is for executives, board members. You understand. I nodded slowly. Then I reached into my bag and pulled out the letter. Her eyes scanned it. She blinked. Twice. Her mouth opened, then closed. I didn't realize. I know, I said, and walked past her. The room went silent. Every head turned. One of the senior partners stood up, confused. Can we help you? I smiled. No, but I can help all of you. There was a pause. Then, from the hallway, the chairman stepped in. He looked around the room and said clearly, In case you haven't heard, allow me to introduce your new CEO. The room didn't erupt in applause. It froze. Some jaws dropped. Others narrowed their eyes, calculating how quickly they could align themselves with the new power. But none of them spoke, because deep down, they all knew they'd underestimated me, and now they'd pay for it. The next few weeks were a blur. Restructures, reviews, policy overhauls. I didn't burn the building down. I just rewired it. I moved departments that had been siloed for years, promoted quiet talent that had gone ignored, removed the toxic layers that had made the company efficient only for those at the top. I walked the floors. I sat with interns. I responded to emails at midnight and showed up at 7 a.m. People started whispering, but not about how I didn't belong. They whispered about how I'd managed to do what no one else had dared. Some tried to challenge me. One VP stormed into my office, demanding to know why his budget had been slashed. I pointed to the reports. His team hadn't hit targets in 2 years. He sputtered, said he knew the right people. I smiled. So do I. I just replaced them. Another tried to discredit me, leaked stories to the press, tried to spin me as a fluke, a diversity hire, a PR move. But facts are louder than fiction, and our quarterly numbers spoke for themselves. Under my leadership, we'd recovered 12% in operational losses, reclaimed 2 major clients, increased retention by 30%. The board didn't just support me now, they depended on me. Still, I never forgot the ones who stood by while I was ignored. I didn't punish them. I just stopped rewarding them, took them out of the loop, assigned them special projects that led nowhere. Let them feel what it was like to be sidelined. But the best part was watching the new hires, the ones who reminded me of me. Quiet, brilliant, overlooked. I made it my mission to find them, mentor them, give them what no one gave me, a chance. Because power means nothing if you don't use it to pull others up with you. So now, when people see me walking into that executive lounge, they don't question it. They hold the door open. When I speak, the room listens. Not because I demand it, but because they've seen what happens when I'm ignored. I never needed a title to prove my worth. But now that I have it, I wear it like armor, not to protect myself, but to lead with strength. Because this isn't just about me. It's about every person who's ever been told they're not enough, not ready, not right. To them I say, keep going. Because one day, you'll walk into a room they said wasn't meant for you, and own it completely.